with that, let's get started with our first movie of the day, and it's the new release, The Wild Robot. Now, The Wild Robot is a animated movie that is about. It's very similar to Wall-E, and that's about kind of an isolated robot. This one is a robot that's crash landed onto a planet, and it quickly starts to try to interact with the world. It's basically almost like a newborn. Like it comes out, it has this programming that's built into it, and it doesn't really have any idea what to kind of do with itself. It's looking for an owner, someone to give it direction. And it starts asking the animals, and that kind of gives you the idea to some extent of the tone. But things turn a little bit dark fairly quickly when the robot accidentally kills an animal and into finding itself kind of responsible or in possession of that animal's offspring. And the movie actually turns on that. That's the inciting event. And the movie really is about the relationship between that robot and the small animal that found its way into the robot's care. And I thought it was an awesome movie. That's all in the first act. I don't want to say too much. Lawrence hasn't seen it, and so there's no spoilers. And so I thought it was an amazing movie. I saw it with my daughter. It was actually more her idea than me. I told Lawrence on the last podcast I probably wouldn't see it because it looked like emotional pornography. And when I say that, what I mean to say is that it looked like something that is very aggressively going to go after your heartstrings. And to some extent it did, but I felt like it was very earned. And so my daughter cried, I cried some. A lot of themes about parenthood and growing up, and we really related to that stuff. So I thought it was an amazing movie. It's a candidate for me for a movie of the year, or for the movie of the year. But that's my take on The Wild Robot. Now, one thing I wanted to mention here is that, I like to talk on my videos sometimes about pedigree, about what movies, writers and directors who make movies have done before, and it gives you an idea if they really know their stuff. So the writer director behind The Wild Robot is this guy named Chris Sanders. Now, his big thing early on was he was involved with in Jim Henson's Muppet Babies. I'm reading from Wikipedia right here, but I'll get the big highlights. So he was involved a bit. He got involved kind of with Disney. He worked on the story as I think a story editor with Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King. His first big thing that was his own creation was Lilo and Stitch. So that's the pedigree, the track record of the guy that made The Wild Robot, or was the main creative force behind The Wild Robot. He's Lilo and Stitch, the first How to Train Your Dragon. He EP'd some of the later stuff, The Croods, and now this movie, The Crowd, and I think the sequel, and now this one. So that's the pedigree of this movie. So it really shouldn't be surprised how good it was. But the trailers were kind of mediocre. I didn't really feel like, oh man, this movie's going to be amazing. It just seemed like, okay, this is like a Wall-E remake or something. We'll see how it goes. But man, I have to tell you, it's very good. So now I was very impressed by it. You haven't seen this, Lawrence, but does this make it more interested in possibly watching it?
Yeah, it's getting good reviews, and there's a lot of people say it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Oscar fan or fan of the Academy Awards, but they, like you're saying, is actually a candidate for a couple of awards actually.
Oh, nice. But, I didn't know those were out yet, but I get. I guess that's for the early one. That's for what Golden.
Well, it's for there's a lot of people saying it's it might. They're just predicting. It's not officially.
They're predicting it,
but they're just kind of predicting. They got these early predictions kind of stuff.
Yeah, I also didn't notice in the trailers the voice talent they have. They have the main the robot's voice is Lupita Nyong'o. I can't pronounce her name quite right, but from I think she was in Black Panther, and she's been in a bunch of stuff. Pedro Pascal, Mark Hamill, Catherine O'Hara, Ving Rhames make a nice appearance about halfway through. One of the big characters, and that's him. I was like, oh, that's Ving Rhames. Like, that voice. He's got one of those voices. And so Ving Rhames is in there. So really good voice talent too. So that certainly helped.
Oh, I didn't realize Mark Hamill was in it.
Yeah, I mean, he got a really good voice. And him, honestly, it didn't stand out to me that I kind of think I know which character he was, but when I was listening to it, I didn't notice it. Like Ving Rhames, I noticed, and I think Pedro I noticed him. His voice sounded familiar, but I couldn't really place it because I have watched
It's
all the
funny, you
Mandalorian
never.
seasons. But
I don't think you even noticed him when he played the Joker. Like people were surprised it's Mark Hamill, but I don't
yeah, no,
like.
I had no
A
idea. When he
lot of
played
people
the
were.
Joker in the animated series, yeah, I had no
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah, a lot of people were like blown away. Like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this clip from Only the Real Movie Podcast. Please like and consider subscribing to Low Key Classic Movies. And look out for the next episode of Only the Real Movie Podcast coming at the end of every month. Check out a full podcast or maybe one of these clips or another video from Low Key Classic Movies.